So where we want to start is building our understanding and our knowledge of the client. We need to do the pre-work that it takes to build out the opportunities. We are going to really focus on not how we build our understanding of the business from an industry perspective, but we are going to figure out how we, and I really hate to use the term knowledge management because it's so consultant-y, but we want to build a knowledge management system around developing a comprehensive file on each of our star clients. What this is going to do, this is going to ultimately help us better manage the client, better manage their work, and our future business development efforts. First, let's talk about why we're developing this file in the first place. One of the top issues that clients routinely talk to BTI about that drives them absolutely crazy about their law firms is the ongoing feeling of deja vu. So whether it's when an attorney reinvents the wheel on research that's already been done, or whether the client finds themselves in the position of telling an attorney the same background information over and over again, or telling it to different attorneys throughout the law firm, legal decision makers feel as though a lot of time and a lot of money is lost through repetition. So having a file like this in place for our top clients alleviates those headaches for the client and allows us to serve them better. Now, from a firm standpoint, this kind of system also allows attorneys to do work more efficiently. Again, we're not reinventing the wheel every time a need comes up, and when we do things more efficiently, it drives up our profitability for both you personally and for the firm. Now, as you can tell, I'm not going through everything on this slide. What I do want to stress is that these files are only as useful as the team working on them makes them. And in fact, there can be some major consequences if you are not keeping these files up to date. I have heard horror stories from attorneys who have, they claim to be using CRM at their law firm and knowledge management systems, and it has completely backfired in their face. I had one attorney tell me they used the system, and when they got into a client meeting with the client organization, they asked about another individual that they had worked with previously, not realizing that that person had been deceased for a couple of years. So very awkward situation for them. I had another attorney tell me they used this system in order to put together a pitch for a new client. They were hoping to win some new M&A work from this particular client, and they hadn't worked with the organization before, so they were using the CRM system to put together their homework. And what they did was a great approach, which was they put together a proposed solution for the client. So they had some deal suggestions, how they were going to manage the work, and all of the revenue and profitability that this was going to bring to the client. So things that I've stressed in past sessions, go there with a solution in hand. Well, they had a little snag because one of the acquisitions that the law firm suggested was a company that this organization had acquired a year ago. So again, this is a critical tool that we can use, but it's only useful if we keep the information up to date. So if we go about establishing these files, which is something I strongly recommend we do in order to keep our top relationships intact, we also need to establish a protocol that makes sure that they're up to date. And that is usually the most overlooked feature when people are putting together these types of programs. Now, truth be told, in my experience, the more elementary, the more basic the system used for storing and managing these files, the more successful they are. Once you get a complicated management system in place, what we tend to see is that fewer people actually use those and maintain the information that's included. Okay, so now we have done our client homework, and we know a ton about the client. I'm going to presume you also know a lot about the potential services that you can offer your client. So now we want to get to the interesting point, which is where we get these 2 points to meet. And using the information that we've compiled in the previous step, we want to identify what it is your client is trying to get done. But we want to understand what are the goals for this company, what are the goals maybe for this legal department if you're working with a counsel, what are their career goals. These goals are the problems that your client is trying to solve and their pain points. Now, the reason I want to do this is because when this is done properly, so when we are identifying and ultimately fixing the client's, I call it a pain chain, it's one of the best ways to strengthen a client relationship. Now, a pain chain is a way to identify all of the players in an organization and their pain points. It outlines what's contributing to their problems and how those problems impact and cause pain for others in the company. So let me show you, a very elementary example of what a pain chain would look like. As you can imagine, these quite complex pretty quickly depending on the organization and the company that you're working with and the issues that they're facing. So we're going to use a common example. We are going to imagine that you have smartly conducted an annual meeting or a post-mortem meeting with your client, and during this meeting you ask the BTI approved question, what is your single largest unmet need? To which your client replied, well, you got any way to do litigation for free? I'm getting hammered on reducing litigation expenses, but I understand you guys have pretty much done what you can on the rates. So here is a pain point, and I've outlined it and labeled it as point 1 on this diagram. Now, what you can see I've done with this particular slide is I've taken this pain point and I've mapped it out in 2 different directions. And I recommend that you do this as well, literally on a piece of paper or in a file, make a pain chain. So first, I want to uncover why this is a pain point and how it became a problem for my immediate client. And that's point 2 on the diagram. So in this case, our client is experiencing the pain of increased litigation expenses because they recently were in an onslaught of employment litigation. But you see, I didn't stop there at identifying the problem. I also mapped out how this pain impacts others in the company. So I took the pain up a level to step 3, where we see the CFO is feeling pressure because litigation costs are eating into his profits. And then I went up one more level to step 4, where we see the CEO is feeling pressure because the CFO's eroding profits mean the CEO's share price is taking a hit. And this is a very simple pain chain. Why we're doing this is because when we understand and we see these interdependencies, not only does it provide you with the knowledge you need to better sell your legal services, but it also helps you better demonstrate value, which is, of course, a proven way to reduce rate pressure from our clients. So using this as our guide, it's time to tell the client how we are going to add value, how our service is going to benefit them. And the first thing that we want to do is describe our services in terms of being a painkiller. And we don't only want to describe how we are going to relieve pain for our immediate client, but we also include how it alleviates pain for everybody else in the organization. Clients like to hire attorneys who make their lives easier. It is a fact. Clients love to hire attorneys who make their management's lives easier because it makes the client look like the hero for having found you. So using this pain chain approach, it immediately makes you stand out because it naturally showcases your depth of understanding of the client's business environment, and it places you in the position of trusted provider and advisor rather than another attorney trying to sell legal work. Okay, so now we are ending the near of the process, and really these are reminders more than anything else. The first reminder is to make sure that you are always focusing on your differentiators when it comes to selling and discussing your services and your value with clients. Now, if you have seen any of BTI's presentations, then you have seen this chart. This chart maps out the activities that are most important and most influential on a legal decision maker's hiring process. The top half of the chart are the activities that clients have told us more strongly differentiate one law firm from another when it comes to making a hiring decision. So as you can see, legal skills, an area that law firms like to promote a lot, is not a differentiator. It is a table stake. It gets you considered for work, but it doesn't actually win you the work. The activities that are most important to clients and most differentiate a law firm and an attorney are in that upper right-hand quadrant. The key takeaway is make sure you are bringing these activities and attributes to all of your star client relationships, and you need to be bringing them at superior levels in order to maintain those relationships. And that brings us to the final step in the client development plan. And basically, this is the rinse and repeat section of the process. Client development and these client development plans that help you target opportunities are ongoing. They are sort of living documents, if you will, I guess. Success comes from measuring, reevaluating your relationships, readjusting your strategy on a systematic basis to make sure that you're not letting any opportunities fall to aggressive competitors. So each step of the process, from choosing those metrics to evaluating your client list to developing the plan, that really needs to be revisited about every 18 to 24 months. This time frame is about how long it takes for client needs to change and also how long it takes for a law firm to see a financial impact from any initiatives that you would have tried as a result of developing one of these client plans. Now, I want to make sure that I tie this into everything that we've been talking about in our prior sessions. Now, this client development plan is only one tool, and it's only one perspective of a relationship. We can't forget to also check in with the client to get their perspectives on the relationship as well. So whether you're going to do a client feedback survey or have an annual meeting or a postmortem, whatever it takes, we need to make sure that we understand how the client also feels about the relationship. We don't want to be surprised by one of our star clients suddenly taking their work elsewhere. Now, we put a couple of fail-safes into this structure and this framework. It's in fact why we distribute our client relationships the way that we do across that quadrant chart, because we don't want all of our revenue tied up with only one or two organizations. But we do want to keep them if we can, and so that requires going in, talking to our clients, making sure that there's nothing that we can't do to improve their relationship and their experience with us. This is simply a recap of the questions that are the most important to make sure that we are always asking our clients and constantly assessing our performance on.
With that, I do want to thank everyone again today for joining me. I do welcome you to reach out to me directly, and my number and my email are on the screen. Feel free to reach out to me if you have specific questions,